Afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to today's special webinar. This is a webinar that was organized specifically for the New York Manhattan region. I'd like to welcome all of the New York Manhattan members to the call today. The topic today is the online slips and what we call the member module within BNI Connect. So how to pass referrals online through BNI Connect, all the reporting that's associated with it, and how it affects things like the POMS report and the jobs of the vice presidents out there. I have with us today also Mark Silverman, your director in the New York Manhattan region. You want to say hi to everybody, Mark?
Yes, thanks for coming. I am here, and I thank you, Jeremy, for setting this special webinar up for us. We've had some questions. Some of them I have a little bit of trouble answering because I'm not as experienced as you. So I'm glad you're here to answer some of the challenging questions.
Excellent. I'm happy to be here. This is what I do all day, every day. I support BNI Connect, so happy to answer those questions. Typically, we do these online slips presentations about twice a month. Generally speaking, it takes about a half hour to go through it. That being said, I will stay on this call as long as you guys have questions. So as many questions as you have about this or anything else in BNI Connect, let's take the opportunity now to answer all of your questions. So I'm absolutely happy to do that. A couple of just housekeeping tips. Again, this webinar is being recorded. I will make it available to you all afterwards. So the people that couldn't make it today, they will have an opportunity to review this, as well as all of you. If you'd like to go back and listen to it or watch it, you'll be able to do that as well. Usually takes me a couple of days to get that posted online, and what I'll do is I'll send Mark a link to that. All of our webinars you can find, if you would like to, by going to two places. Either go to youtube.com/BNI Connect Global, and this is where we upload all of our public webinars. You can find them all up there, if YouTube will show up on my screen here. And the second place to go is, if you're in BNI Connect, click on the question mark button. Here's where you can also find answers to all of your questions. All the upcoming webinars are listed here. And then at the bottom, there's a training section. And you'll see not only is the entire online slips documented here, but we also have all of our recorded webinars. So, and they're split out by month, so you can find them on a timetable there, or again on the YouTube channel. The whole library of them are available up there. So you'll find this webinar located there, usually in a couple of days or so. So Mark, you ready to get started? I'll get started on the online slips.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Thanks.
All right. So I'm actually in our test system right now because I am a member still in BNI. I'm a member here in the Rhode Island region, just about 2.5 hours north of you guys down there in Manhattan. I actually hail from the Manhattan area. I grew up right over the bridge in Bogota, New Jersey. But I don't want to mess up my own stats, so I'm going to do all of this in the test system. It is identical to our live system, so all of the functionality should look exactly the same. So let's take a look at these slips. You'll notice this is the home page when you log in, and there's a couple of things about this home page that I want to point out. The first of which is up here at the top, and this is the My BNI Business Page. And all of these numbers that are up in this upper section, what's important to know about these numbers up here are that these are directly taken from the POMS reports. So regardless of whether you're submitting slips on paper at your chapter meeting or whether you're submitting them online in BNI Connect, if you were to pull, let's say, a summary POMS report or a personal POMS report, these numbers will be the same numbers that are reflected there. What we've done is we've taken and we've filtered it out so it has your last 12 months of membership. And if you're a longtime member like myself, I've been in for 11 years, I can see my lifetime totals here as well. So it's a nice quick snapshot of your activity in BNI. The other thing to note about that is because it is done from the POMS report, even when you're submitting the slips online, these numbers will not change immediately. These only change after your weekly meeting and after the vice president of your chapter has officially submitted their POMS report. So Vice presidents, don't panic. You still have full control over the POMS report. You can make adjustments. You can edit it. You can make corrections as necessary, even with the online slips. And these numbers are a reflection of the finalized numbers. So again, as we go through and we enter slips online here, and I'm going to enter a whole bunch of different slips, you'll notice that these numbers will stay the same until the POMS report is submitted. One other thing to note on here is that there's a new number, a new metric that we have never, ever been able to track before in BNI. And that is the thank you for closed business received. So we've traditionally tracked through BNI the thank you for closed business given. So when you turn in one of those green slips at the meeting, the numbers go towards the person that gave or generated the business. And part of the reason we do that is to be able to keep it anonymous. When you pass in that slip, you notice on the slip itself there's no place to write who received the business. So once it leaves your hands, it is then anonymous. With the introduction of the online slips, we're able to track this now for the members and keep it anonymous. So only by turning in online thank you for closed business slips, what this number will be is basically the tracking of all of the slips that you've thanked other people for. So that's money that obviously you've received for your business. That being said, if you haven't started using the online slips, this number for everybody will start out as a 0. And only when you start turning in the slips online will this start to track upwards. So we all started on the same page with that one. And again, that number still will only change when the POMS reports are submitted on a weekly basis. So how do we enter the slips online? Well, down at the bottom, you'll notice a bunch of options. So the first 4 options allow you to enter, and these are the slips entry. So we have the thank you for closed business slip, we have the referral slip, the one-to-one slip, and the CEU slip. The next line is the referral tracking sheet, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. And the next 4 sections are the My Reports, and what these are the tracking of the slips that you've entered. And then at the bottom, we have a couple of new things, a referral tracking report and a personal meeting activity sheet. And I'll show you what each one of these do. So let's go from the top to the bottom. The first one here is the Enter Thank You for Closed Business slip. And again, this is what we do when we're thanking somebody else when a referral generated money. So I click the Enter for Thank You for Closed Business, and here's what pops up. Now, this should look familiar because it is pretty much identical to the Thank You for Closed Business slip that you currently pass in your meeting, I guess without the green background color. Now, what you'll see here, instead of having to write a name in, is you'll see a drop-down. This will list all of the active members of your chapter, and it'll also list at the bottom BNI and visitor. So let's say that I wanted to thank Jay White. He does security systems in my chapter. Let's say that he generated a referral for me, and it turned out to be a $1,000 referral. So I'm going to type in $1,000. Now, keep in mind, do not put in the $sign. It will not save, and I'll give you a nice warning here if you put in the $sign. So leave the $sign out. Denote whether it's a new or repeat business, whether it was an inside, outside, or Tier 3 referral. And for those that don't know the difference, an inside referral would mean that Jay White referred himself to me. So that's a Tier 1 or an inside the chapter referral. So members doing business with each other. An outside referral would mean that he referred somebody else, anybody else that he knows, to me. So somebody outside of the chapter. And a Tier 3 would be a spin-off referral. So somebody that he referred to me then referred me to somebody else, and it generated business. So I'm going to call this one an inside referral. Jay White did business with me. And the great thing is now I can put comments on here. The comments will remain private to you and only you. So the only place that these comments can be viewed is with your login name and password looking at the report. So I can put in comments. I could say that this was for, Jay White got his computer fixed. And I'll tell you why it's a good idea in just a minute to put in comments in here because it helps with tracking later on. So once I have this all filled out and I've double-checked it, I can take a look at all of the different options down here. I can click Save and New. That will allow me to submit this slip, so it's the same as dropping it in the basket or passing it into your vice president, and also open up a new slip so that I can fill out another thank you for closed business slip right away. Submit just means submit this one, and it will take me back to the home screen. And close means I just want to cancel this. I don't want to do anything right now. I'm going to click Save and New so I can show you another thing here. So the other thing I wanted to show you here also was that these two options at the bottom. So you can submit thank you for closed business. Let's say that you have a member that's left your chapter, but you're still tracking the amount of business that was closed. You can do that by selecting BNI from the line. And the same thing for when visitors come to your chapter and they buy things from the people that are in your chapter. You can thank a visitor for closed business as well. But the other option I really wanted to show you was search cross-chapter. Now what this allows you to do is, let's say that you don't have a web designer in your chapter and you have a relationship with somebody that's in a sister chapter or brother chapter across town. Well, as you establish these relationships in the greater scheme of BNI, you can do thank you for closed business, referrals, and one-to-one slips for those members as well. You do that by clicking Search Cross-Chapter. So now I have a relationship with a guy that repairs printers for me in another chapter here in Rhode Island. We don't have that category in my chapter. His name is Alex Agronic. I can never remember how to spell his last name. I just have to put in at least a couple of characters and click Search. And this will allow me to search cross-chapter anywhere within my region. Right now, we can't search worldwide. We can only search within our regions. I can see, yep, he's in the Moneymakers chapter. This is his company. I got the right person here. And I can check him off and select him. Now you can see my thank you is going to go to Alex Agronic. And he generated a referral for me that was $2,500. It was new business. It was an outside referral. And this one was for Acme Company for a new computer. And I can go ahead and click Submit. Now, here's my favorite part about submitting referrals online, is that you can track them now. Traditionally, when you turn in paper in the meeting, you drop that paper into the bowl and then it disappears. So unless you're keeping an Excel spreadsheet or some other tracking mechanism, there's really no way to remember what you did a month ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago. Submitting them online, all of your submitted slips will go into the corresponding My Reports. So for example, I click on the My Thank You for Closed Business report. It by default will show us our last 6 months worth of slips that we've submitted. Now, you can change the state to whatever you want. If you want to look at the last year, or the last 1 month, or just the last week, you can do that. And click Go. And this will show me all of the slips that I submitted online through BNI Connect. Now, what I love about this is that inevitably it always happens. You're at your chapter meeting, you're talking with another member, and let's say Shannon comes up to me and he says, hey, by the way, I did some business with you a while ago, and did you ever submit that thank you for closed business? Well, this is now 6 months later. I'd say, yeah, I think I did, but you know what? To be sure, maybe I'll submit another one. You can go back to your thank you for closed business report and say, hey, you know what, Shannon? On January 8th, I did submit that. It was for $200, and it was for that job you did with when I put new RAM in your computer. Very easy to go back and cross-reference your slips when you enter them online. So we have a question here from JP. JP says, in the example about Alex Agronic, will the closed business entered show up as closed business given from him in his chapter? And yes, that is one of the great things about this, is that the credit actually goes to the right place now. So Alex will get credit in his POMS report in his chapter for that thank you for closed business. So does that answer your question, JP? Perfect. So again, you'll see the two that I just entered right here at the bottom of the sheet here. My thank you for closed business to Jay White and my thank you for closed business to Alex Agronic. All right, so let's take a look at the next type of slip. The next one is our bread and butter, the referral slip. So let's click on Enter Referrals. And again, this should look familiar. It's exactly the same as the slips that we fill out now in the chapter meetings. So just like with the thank you for closed business, I can select somebody from my chapter, or I can search cross-chapter. So let's say I had a referral for, I don't know, Joe Sylvia. He's a copy salesman in my chapter. So the referral is to, Jones Insurance Company, John Jones. This is an outside referral. I gave John Jones his card and told him that he would be getting a call. They are on One Insurance Way in Warwick, Rhode Island. Telephone number, email address, and any comments. I can rate this referral. I'm going to call this one a 4. And again, I can save a new if I need to put in a bunch of referrals, one after the other, or I can just click Submit. Now, one of the great things about the referrals online is that it helps to shorten the referral process. And it shortens the referral process by sending an automated email that will go directly to Joe Sylvia, letting him know about this referral. And these go immediately. They go right away. So here's what those emails look like. So here's an actual referral that I received a few days ago. I actually got this one on 6/10, so 8 days ago. It was a referral from Teresa Martin. She rated it a 3. This was an outside referral and told that I would call. Gave me the person's name, the phone number, the email address, the comments, and it gave me all of Teresa's information as well. So if I needed to follow up with Teresa, I could do so immediately. To me, one of the great things about this is that most of us nowadays have some type of smartphone. So when we receive these on our smartphone, the phone number is a click-through link. So you just click the phone number and your phone starts dialing. You click the email address and it starts a new email to this person. Makes it much easier to just initiate this referral right away. And as with the thank you for closed business, there is a My Referrals report that goes along with it. By default, it's going to show the last 1 month of activity, but you can go back again. Let's say I want to see the last 3 months of activity. I can do that as well. All of my referrals will be listed here with all of the details of the slip that I filled out. Now, what I'd like to call your attention to specifically on this is the tracking sheet status. And just scroll that away for a minute in memory, and we're going to get back to that in a minute. But as with the thank you for closed business, again, I'm sure this has never happened to you in your chapter, but you pass a referral to somebody, you give them over the white slip. 3 days later, they call you and say, you know, I'm really sorry about this, but I lost that piece of paper. It was in my shirt pocket. It went through the washing machine. I can't get it. I'm so embarrassed. Can you please tell me who that referral was to? Well, you can go back to your referrals given report and say, oh, yeah, by the way, no problem. That referral was to Tom Vignali. Here's his phone number. Here's the stuff I put in it. And you can remind them the details of that particular referral. And going back to JP's question from before, if a referral is cross-chapter, the correct people will get credit in their POMS report. So the referral given will go into your POMS report in your chapter. The referral received will go into that person's POMS report in that chapter. And again, this is the first time in BNI's history that we've been able to have cross-chapter referrals with accountability. So now that we have 2 vice presidents actually looking at the data, seeing that this transaction has happened, as well as the person receiving the referral sees that that has happened, we can more accurately have accountable cross-chapter referrals. So the next type of slip that we traditionally enter is the one-to-one slip. And again, we have the same options. We can select somebody from our chapter or search cross-chapter. So let's say I did a one-to-one with somebody in another chapter. I have a referral source in another chapter. His name's David Cordero. You know, I have no idea whether it's Dave or David in the system, so I'm just going to put DAV. And I can never remember if it's IE or EI, so I'm just going to put that in. Click search, and oh, here he is. It is in as David, so I'm going to select David Cordero from the CityBiz chapter. Am I sure? Yes. Where did we meet? We met at David's office. What were the topics of conversation? And what date that we met. Now, the great thing about the one-to-ones, only one person needs to enter that one-to-one. It will appear on both people's POMS reports and in both people's one-to-one sheet. If the second person does try to enter a second one-to-one for that instance, they will get a warning message saying, this one-to-one has already been entered. So I'm going to go ahead and click Submit. And as with the other reports, there is a My One-to-One report. So it'll show me the last 6 months by default, and I click Go. And we can see all the one-to-ones. So, and here's the latest one with David Cordero, and it has the details and the topics. Now, what I love about this report is it can really give a boost to your membership. Have you ever sat in your BNI meeting and you're looking across the room at what used to be a great referral partner, and you just think to yourself, you know what, I haven't been able to give this person a referral, or I haven't received a referral from this person in a really long time. One-to-ones are the driving force behind referrals. With the one-to-one report, you can analyze your relationship to a certain extent to say, you know what, I haven't done a one-to-one with Peter DiStefano since January 8th. I should probably schedule one with that person so that we can get back on track with our relationship. So, and finally, we have our... Oh, yeah, please.
I have a question about the one-to-one. Since we're now able to track one-to-ones with people that aren't in our chapter, which really is something that I don't think we've been able to do up to this point, does it count in our stats? Is it part of our permanent record, so to speak? How does it track outside one-to-ones?
The one-to-one will be listed in both people's POMS reports. So if I do it with David Cordero, I will get a 1 in my one-to-one column, and David will get a 1 in his one-to-one column.
Okay, I understand. But again, I was more thinking about the idea that one-to-ones typically have been within the chapter. Have there been outside one-to-ones prior to this with the slips? I don't think, at least I know the chapters that I'm dealing with haven't really dealt with that. So is it new?
Yeah, most chapters weren't dealing with it. And when it comes to all of these cross-chapter things, you know, I had a conversation with Dr. Meisner about this. And one of the things that always prevented the cross-chapter anything, whether you talk about referrals, whether you talk about thank you for closed business, or whether you talk about one-to-ones, was when it's only on paper, you have a really hard time tracking that down. Again, going back to the accountability aspect of it. So there traditionally is a much higher chance that somebody's just going to, you know, basically put a fake slip in, for lack of any other niceties about it. Once we have this online system, because, you know, if I stand up in my meeting and I say, oh yeah, I have a referral for David, I had for Alex Agronik over in this other chapter, there's really no easy way for my vice president to verify whether that's real or not. Same thing with one-to-one, same thing for thank you for closed business. With the online slip, because it's going in that other person's POMS report as well, that vice president is going to question it. Also, that is going to be tracked by the other person. You know, they're going to receive that notification saying, oh yeah, I just got this referral, and they're going to follow up on it. So, you know, I could theoretically pass a piece of paper to a phantom person in another chapter and never let that person know that I passed that in. You can't do that with the online system. Does that make sense, Mark?
Yes, it basically does. I think in our region we might have to embrace that a little bit more than we have so far, the idea of cross-chapter anything as far as online, but you've made the point pretty thoroughly.
Excellent. All right, on to the last slip, and that is the CEU slips. Fairly straightforward slip, just like the ones we have in our meeting. We can put in the quantity of each of these things. So, you know, read SuccessNet this week. Let's say that I went to 1 leadership team training and I went to 2 workshops. Just note that you're putting the quantity in here, and they also automatically total the credits. So for this one, I did 2 of these, and it automatically calculates out the 10 total credits. Go ahead and click Submit, and of course, there is a corresponding My CEU report. And again, default of 6 months, click Go, and we'll see all the CEU slips and the details that I've entered. Let's take a look at a couple of things that I slipped over here. When you receive, oh, hold on, I have a question here about the CEUs from Janine. Janine says, are the CEUs simply for BNI related classes? Let me give you 2 answers to that one. This is the official headquarters approved SLIPS program. So it does have all things to do with BNI right now. Here's where you have other things where there's possibilities and other BNI endorsed networking workshop. So what I would say is, as far as things that are not directly on this list, please talk with your chapter director, consultant, executive director, or area director, and they can give you some guidance on how this is reported in your particular region. Mark, I don't know if you have answered that question right offhand or not. But
I know in my chapters we've started to collect the information for the CEUs in general. Again, I can't speak for the whole region. I'm not sure that everyone has really started doing that as thoroughly as other regions. But we're catching up. We're going to get there.
The one piece of guidance that I'll give you is that what some regions do, and again, you may want to check with Todd Hallinger on this before you do anything else, but you'll notice that most of these credits are roughly in proportion to the amount of hours it takes to do the particular activity. For example, most BNI CDs are about 1 hour in length. That is a 1 credit course. A leadership team training is about 3 hours. You know, podcasts are about 10 to 12 minutes. 5 of them take about an hour. How long does it take to read a book? Well, about 5 hours, you know, in between, you know, picking it up and putting it down. So that's the general rationale behind the credits per course. So a lot of times, for example, almost every webinar that I do, people ask me, well, how many credits do I get for this, you know, webinar that we just did? It's not on the list. What most people will do is pick one of these 1 credit courses, put a 1 in for it, and submit the slip that way. So I am working with headquarters to get webinars added to the slip as well as some other things, but again, that's a worldwide approval process, so it does take some time. So one thing that I get asked on all of these webinars is, okay, this is all well and good. Wonderful. We're passing online slips. Well, what the heck are we supposed to do at the meeting now if we don't have any slips? Let me start this off by saying we are not looking to change anything about that part of the meeting. You absolutely should still have a weekly meeting, first of all. You got to do the face-to-face networking. And you also want to talk about your activity. That is a very exciting part of the meeting. It exemplifies why we're there. It impresses the visitors, all of that activity that's flying around the room. Just because we may not have to drop a piece of paper doesn't change that part of the meeting in any way. What we do have is the personal meeting activity report. And what this is this allows you to grab your activity for the last week. So it'll do the last 1 week worth of activity here in the report. So before your meeting, what you do is you run this report. And when this prints out, you'll see that the referral slips are actually broken out to be the approximate shape and size of a referral slip. That way, if you would like to be included for the door prize, you can print this slip out, cut it out with a pair of scissors, and drop it into the hat or the bowl or whatever else that you pass around your chapter. There's no need to have the triplicate copy because all of it's saved in the My Referrals report. The recipient has it in their reports. For the rest of the information, it's all organized for you so that you can be efficient during this part of the meeting. So you can have your thank you for closed business. When you get to this part of the meeting, I have this referral for this person, this person, this person. I had thank yous for this person, this person, this person, and this amount. I had one-to-ones with these people, and I had CEU slips in this total amount. So it makes that part of the meeting actually run smoother. And if you'd like to still be involved with the door prize, you can print this out and cut them out. Now, before I have any objections, there's going to always be people that say, well, I don't want to print it out. I don't want to waste my ink and my paper, or I forget to print it out, or I don't have a printer at home. Whatever reason it might be, that's fine. You will still have paper referral slips at the meeting. Here's my recommendation. Go ahead and fill one out so that you can be included for the door prize. However, you need to make it obvious for your vice president not to count it into the PALMS report because it's already been put in the PALMS report when you entered it online. What I tell people to do is, and again, check with your vice president, but put a big X through it with your pen. That way, it has your name on it. You can be chosen for the door prize. I usually write in the subject line, entered online, and then I put a big X through it. So that can help to ease that confusion there, and you can be eligible for the door prize. So hopefully that part helps. Now, what about referrals that you receive in BNI Connect? Those are electronic as well. And that's what this referral tracking sheet is here. And this will, all of the electronic referrals that you receive in BNI will show up here. So by default, I'm going to look at the last 1 month of activity and click Go. Oh, it doesn't look like I have any. Again, this is our test system here, so let me go back. And here's a couple of referrals that I've received over the past couple of months. Shows me the referral name, a couple of the details, and I can go ahead and click Edit on this. So here's one here for Yaguzan, and I can see this and click Edit. And I can go in and I can review all of the details about this. I can change the details if I need to. Note that this does not impact the PALMS report in any way. So that's all done separately. Now this is just for your information. I can change the rating of the referral if I want to, but one thing's even better is that I can track the status of this referral. Is it new? Is it pending? Is it closed? Was it a no sale? I can also track my touches with that potential client. When I contacted them, when I met with them, and when I followed up with them. For my own reference, I can put in thank you for closed business, so if you want to thank the other person, you do still need to submit an actual slip. And I can put in a marker whether or not it has turned into spin-off business or not. Now, what's cool about this is that this status is shared with my referral givers, my referrals report. So if you remember, I told you to squirrel away in your mind that little status indicator. So when I mark this as pending, or if I mark it as closed, or I mark it as a no sale, In the other person, in their My Referrals report, there is a status line. So as these people that I've given referrals to mark their status in the tracking sheet, I will be notified of that here in My Referrals Given report. So now we're closing the loop. So we start out with notifying right away, then wanted to follow it through, and now we can actually see when it's closed. So to me, that's a huge benefit. And then there's a quick referral tracking report if all you're looking for is the information from those various referrals. So that is the online slips and referral tracking process. What I'd like to do is to open it up to you guys and welcome you to ask any questions at all that you would like. I'd be happy to answer all of those questions now. So we do have one question here from Pamela Olson. She says, should we be telling our chapters that they should no longer use the paper slips? I look forward to this. I would say that using the online slips is an option, and to me, it is a huge benefit to the membership. As far as for sitting on your chapters, what I can say is that this was based on another region that's using another system right now. They're going to be migrating over to BNI Connect shortly, but they had developed this online slips. They've been using it, I believe, 8 years now. After 8 years, they have about an 80% adoption rate. I don't think that you will ever get 100% adoption in your chapters. If you do, please tell me how you did it. I would love to roll that example out to the world. But there's always going to be the person that is not computer literate, that's not comfortable with a computer, that simply doesn't want to use a computer. So they're going to continue to pass paper slips. I think we'll always have some form of paper slip available to us. So does that answer your question, Pamela? So one thing that I wanted to show you that I've just completely skipped over is how does this look to the vice presidents? Do we have any vice presidents here on the line with us today? So let's take a look at how this looks to the vice presidents. So let's say that I'm the vice president of my chapter. I need to switch over to my region real quick. And I'm going to go and enter the POMS report for my week. So I can go ahead and go to Operations Chapter, Meeting Management, and enter a new POMS report. Now, our meetings are on Thursday, so all of this activity that I just did will be for the week of the 20th, and I can enter the POMS report. Now, what we'll see here is that there's already activity in this POMS report. So I can see there's a referral received here. I can see that under my name down here, I've given 2 outside referrals. I had 1 one-to-one, and I had 15 CEUs. You can see the thank you for closed business that I passed to Jay White for $1,000. It's all entered already into the POMS report. So from a vice president standpoint, this theoretically can make your jobs a lot easier the more people that you have using the online system. Going back to what you said before, Pamela, if you had your whole chapter using online slips, all the vice president would really have to do is take attendance and just verify the data. Now, vice presidents, a couple of things to mention to you. Number one, you do have a balance sheet. See this button here that says Slips Audit Report? That will show you all of the online activity for that week. So it showed my CEUs that I entered. Notice that this one is highlighted, which means it was a cross-chapter with BNI CityBiz. So if I wanted to, as a vice president, if I wanted to follow up on that cross-chapter with CityBiz, I could do that. It also shows the thank you for closed business that I entered. Now, because thank you for closed business is anonymous, you can tell right now that it was me that entered it because I'm the only one that entered any slips for this week's meeting. But normally it is anonymous and you wouldn't be able to see it. And also note that you can't see any of the details of that thank you for closed business. So Let's see. We have a couple more questions in here. Chelsea says, can we enter our referrals from the past into the new system? So for referrals that you've given to other people, I do not recommend entering those as slips here. And the reason for that is that they've already been recorded into the POMS reports. So you're going to be essentially double crediting those various referrals. So I would say no. However, if you'd like to track referrals, so let's say that you receive a referral from the Chamber of Commerce, but you'd like to track the progress of that referral, you can do that in the referral tracking sheet. And notice that there's a new Add New button here. So you can track any referral that you want to. Let's say it was from a person that passes in paper slips in your meeting, but you still want to use these tracking tools for that. You can absolutely do that through the by adding a referral tracking line. Note that it is not tied to the POMS report in any way, so you're doing this just for your own benefit. So does that answer your question, Chelsea? Chelsea from Lucky62. All right, JP says, will it be easy to see when we're looking over a member's stats how much of the referrals, one-to-ones, and closed business are in chapter, and how much are those outside the chapter? JP, it's going to be exactly the same as it is now, so to speak. The stats are the stats. From an outside of referral standpoint, it has been, I guess, suggested a few times for maybe even a new column to be added. So, for example, you have referrals given outside, maybe a referrals given cross-chapter statistic, so that we can see who's doing a lot of in-chapter activity versus cross-chapter activity. To be honest with you, it's so new right now that it's still very much in the discussion phase. I mean, that would be another change to BNI, and it would have to come from headquarters at that point. But it's definitely, it has been a point that's been raised. We are tracking that information now. It's in with those online slips. So if they did decide to do that at a future date, they should be able to pull that data right back out based on what's already in the system. So does that answer your question, JP? Let's see. Amy says, for the chapters where there's not 100% adoption, do VPs find it difficult to reconcile the paper versus non-paper? I'm going to say no on that one. I can tell you from my own experience in my chapter, we have about a 50% adoption rate. And between that referral tracking sheet and the paper slips, he hasn't made any complaints about that. What he has said is that with every person that starts using it, his job gets easier. I can tell you that when I substituted as a VP before the online slips program, going back about 7 or 8 months, I used BNI Connect every single day, and it took me about an hour and a half to enter the POMS reports for our chapter. Our chapter has about 50 people in it. I think we're up to about 56 people now, but going through all those slips from the time of taking them out of the bowl to sorting them into the different types of slips to when you're entering the POMS report, scrolling up and down to find the 2 names in the list, again, about an hour and a half. It now takes them about 20 to 25 minutes just to be able to reconcile and do the paper slips. So I would say it hasn't been a big concern so far. Does that answer your question, Amy? What other questions do we have? Mark, you said you had a couple of questions that were sent in previously. Did you want to bring those up now?
I do have one. Lee Presser asked, when will there be an app to submit the referrals and various other slips? You know, I guess just talk about a smartphone app.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The answer to that is that they're in the final phases of making a decision on that. They've spent the last, I want to say 6 months or so at the highest levels of BNI to decide exactly which direction to go on that. One of the things that they've been kind of struggling with or tackling from an issue standpoint is BNI Connect is a huge system. There are so many levels to this system. What you guys see here is at a member level, the tip of the iceberg. When you start getting up to the leadership team level, there's an even bigger piece of it. When you get up to the director level, there's an even bigger piece of it. When you get to the executive director and the national director and the headquarters level, I mean, it's a huge system. There's over 1 million lines of code, 1,000 different individual pages. So trying to create apps for this is very difficult in that you either need to create a gigantic app that has everything in it that everybody wants, or you're going to have to create 100 different apps for each different type of person and what they're going to want to do with the particular app. So trying to figure out what people want, and then to furthermore make it on about at least a half a dozen different platforms, because you have the Android, the Windows Phone, the BlackBerry, the iPhones. Not only that, but the different form factors involved with each of those. So now double that for the tablet-sized versions and add another one in there for the new iPad mini. So trying to get that all done is a major, major piece of work. So what is more likely to happen is that they're going to be going through the system and probably putting an interface on it that is fully mobile friendly and cross-platform friendly. So it wouldn't so much be an app, but it would be a web-based, specific mobile-based access to all of the functionality, which in the end will probably be a wiser investment than apps themselves. So does that make sense, Mark? Does that help explain it a little bit better?
It sure does. I just am surprised that they can't just give everybody everything they want. It makes no sense. Now, I have one more question. JP also, he emailed a question earlier about access to unlocking the POMs. The vice presidents, when they need to go back to revise earlier POMs.
Sure. Let me show you how to do that. Before the call, we did verify that you should, as a vice president, you should have access to do that. And here's how you do that. Go to your meeting management and go to View POMs Summary. So you can then view a previous POMs report, and you can see all the completed POMs here. Those are the ones that you would be able to unlock. So if I click on this report from 5.2, let's say I need to go and I need to make a change to this one, I would click on the word completed, and this will show me the details of that POMs report. If I need to unlock it, the unlock button should be right here. And again, we verified the permissions for your region. Vice presidents, you should be able to do this now by clicking the unlock. That will return that to draft mode, which allows you to go in and edit it. And let's say that this person had called me and said, oh, you know what, Keith said that was a thank you for closed business for $37,950, not $3,795, and I can then go ahead and either just save it as a draft if I need to make more edits, or I can submit this POMs and reclose that particular POMs report. All right, we do have another question up here from Pamela. She says, can you review how to access the online slips on the website? Well, the online slips, as soon as you log in to BNI Connect, they'll be right on this home page. So the My BNI Business page and the entering slips are right here. Now, if you'd like to, if you're looking for the support site and you want to learn more about how to, how to do certain things, or you want to be able to go back to your members and say, oh yeah, here's how to enter a referral, the documentation for it, click on the question mark here in BNI Connect. This will take you to our support site, and scroll down to the bottom. There's a training section. You can review the webinars in the webinars section, and then there's an online slips and landing page section. So you can go in here, and for example, I want to enter a referral slip. Entering referral slips online. Here's the step-by-step walkthrough. what to click on, what all the different fields mean and explanations, what the email looks like, how to do cross-chapter, and how to submit them and where it shows up afterwards. So hopefully that answers your question there, Pamela. Do we have any additional questions? The questions queue is cleared at the moment. But again, now's your opportunity. Please ask anything that you'd like, whether it's about online slips or anything else in BNI Connect. I'm happy to answer those questions for you.
Well, it means you've done a good job. So thank you, Jeremy. The one question I often get is people go to this main page on BNI Connect, and they don't know where the documents and all that is. I know it's fairly easy for most people, but if you just want to show us that the My Network has moved and slipped down one notch.
Down one notch. This used to be the start page in BNI Connect, so this is where the documents and all of the social media functions are. That's now located under My Network. So once we released this online slips, the My BNI Business took over. But if you want to access documents, click on My Network. You can see your connections, groups that you're participating in, any of the documents, upcoming events in your region. All of that is now under the My Network page. So you can flip back and forth between those. And if you're not sure what this is, the chapter page is all of your shortcuts. This is a customizable shortcut page. So as you start poking through BNI Connect and you find things that you like, you can create your own customized list here of things that you would like quick access to instead of having to go to Operations chapter or Reports chapter, clicking through a couple of different levels. Create your own shortcut list here to have your most favorite functions at your fingertips.
Looks like you did it. You kept it to an hour, too.
Excellent. So as I said, it takes a couple of days to process the videos once the recording is done, and I'll try to get these posted up for you as soon as possible so that you can email this out if you'd like to share it with the rest of your members that weren't able to attend with us today, and or if anybody that was on today's webinar would like to review it. So for those of you on the call today, if you could also do me a favor, go to facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. This is our Facebook page. I'd love if you'd give us a like. We do webinar announcements and reminders and tips and tricks and upgrade announcements and all sorts of things up on our Facebook page, so please do give us a like. I would love that. And a good referral for me is if you think you got some good information about this webinar, we do between 12 and 20 live free webinars every single month. So you can find those all, again, on the support page. They're all listed here in chronological order. So our next webinar is actually tomorrow, June 19th at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon here on the East Coast. And we're going to go through all of the different member tools and reports. So things that you may not have known that you have access to do right now, different things that can enhance your membership. So again, if you like this format and you found something helpful, a good referral for me is to go back to your chapters, let the other members in your network know about these webinars, because we'd love to get all this knowledge out of our heads and into yours. JP says, hey Mark, are you going to send out an email when the recording has been posted?
Absolutely. I definitely will. I've sent plenty of emails reminding everybody about this webinar, so you know I'll follow up with that. And I wanted to thank Jeremy. Jeremy, you were talking to me a few weeks back about having a special Manhattan region webinar, and I thought it was such a great idea, and it was very generous of you to put in some time for that. So I think everyone on our region appreciates what you've been doing in the back end, because I'm kind of the ad hoc technical guy in the region, but I usually ask you when I get stuck. So I want to thank you for all your efforts.
My absolute pleasure. So it was wonderful to do this. If you'd ever like to do this again for the rest of your members or on another topic, just let me know, and we just need to book it.
Very cool.
All right. Well, it was great having you all here. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and happy connecting, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jeremy. Bye-bye.